Ma'am, your son Arman listed you as his emergency contact. He's stable now, but we need you to come to the hospital as soon as possible. Those words. I can still hear them echoing in my mind like a terrible dream I can't wake up from. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. My son. My only son. In a hospital. Alone. 3,000 miles away in California. What happened? Is he okay? Please tell me he's okay. He collapsed at a homeless shelter, ma'am. Severe dehydration and malnutrition. He's going to be fine physically, but there are other concerns we'd like to discuss with you in person. Homeless shelter. Those words didn't make sense. They couldn't make sense. My son had a job. A great job. He'd moved to California for an incredible opportunity just 3 months ago. He was building his career, building his future. Wasn't he? Before I tell you what happened next, don't forget to subscribe if you love true stories like this, and tell me in the comments, what would you have done if this happened to you? Would you have seen through the lies? Or would you have trusted your child the way I did? Mira. I'm 58 years old. I've been a widow for 12 years. And I spent every single one of those years living for one person. My son, Arman. He was everything to me. My reason for waking up. My reason for working double shifts. My reason for existing. And he lied to me. About everything. Let me take you back. Back to when I still believed in fairy tales. Back to when I thought hard work and sacrifice guaranteed a happy ending. Arman was 27 when this story begins. Smart, handsome, educated. I'd done everything right as a mother, or so I thought. After his father passed away when Arman was just 15, I became both parents. I worked as a seamstress during the day and cleaned offices at night. Every penny I earned went into his education. When other mothers bought themselves new clothes, I wore the same 3 outfits for years. When other women my age went to the doctor for their aches and pains, I took over-the-counter medication and pushed through. When Arman needed money for college textbooks, I sold the last piece of jewelry my husband had given me, a gold bracelet I'd promised myself I'd never part with. But you know what? I didn't mind. Not even a little bit. Because when I looked at my son, I saw hope. I saw a future where all that sacrifice meant something. Where he'd build a life I could only dream about. Where he'd be happy, successful, and proud. He graduated with a degree in business administration. Not top of his class, but decent enough. The problem was, the job market wasn't what we'd hoped. Month after month he sent out applications. Month after month he got rejections. Or worse, silence. I could see it eating away at him. The confidence he'd had in college was slowly crumbling. He'd spend hours in his room, barely coming out except to eat. His friends were getting jobs, getting married, moving forward with their lives. And Arman felt stuck. Then one day, about 4 months before that hospital call, something changed. He started smiling again. Started spending more time on his phone. Started dressing better, acting differently. First I was relieved. I thought maybe he'd finally found a job opportunity. Maybe our prayers had been answered. "Mom," he said one evening. His eyes brighter than I'd seen them in months. "I've been talking to someone. A business consultant. She's really connected in California. She thinks she can help me get into a startup company." "That's wonderful, Beta." I remember how my heart soared. "Tell me more about this consultant. What's her name?" "Her name's Victoria," he said, and I noticed how his voice softened when he said it. "She's brilliant, Mom. She's worked with so many successful people. And she believes in me. She thinks I have real potential." Something about the way he said her name made me uneasy. But I pushed that feeling down. I was just being an overprotective mother, right? I was happy he'd found someone who believed in him. God knows he needed that. The next few weeks passed in a blur. Arman was constantly on video calls with Victoria. Sometimes I'd hear him laughing from his room. Other times I'd hear him talking about business strategies, investment opportunities, networking events. It all sounded so professional, so legitimate. Then came the evening that changed everything. "Mom, sit down. I have incredible news." He was practically glowing. His smile was so wide, so genuine. How could I have known that smile was built on lies? "I got it, Mom. I got the job. Victoria came through for me. There's a position at a tech startup in San Francisco. They want me to start in 2 weeks." Cried. I actually cried tears of joy. This was it. This was the moment all those years of sacrifice were leading to. My son was finally getting his big break. I hugged him so tight, thanking God, thanking the universe, thanking anyone who might be listening. "I'm so proud of you, Arman. I knew your time would come. I knew it. I couldn't have done it without you, Mom," he said, and his voice cracked a little. "Everything you've done for me. I'm going to make it all worth it. I promise." That promise. That damn promise. If only I'd known he was already breaking it while saying those words. "There's just one thing," he said, pulling back slightly. "I need to be there next week. They want me to start right away. The opportunity is too good to wait." "Next week? That's so soon." "I know, Mom. But this is my chance. Once I get settled and start earning, I'll send money home. I'll take care of you. You won't have to work anymore. You can finally rest." What mother could say no to that? What mother could stand in the way of her child's dreams? So I helped him pack. I used what little savings I had to buy him a plane ticket. I went to the neighbors and borrowed money to give him some cash for his first few weeks in California. I even took a small loan from the community lending circle. $2,000 I promised to pay back with interest. I gave him everything. Again. Like I always did. Because that's what mothers do, right? We sacrifice. We give. We believe. And he took it all, knowing he was lying to my face. The first week after Arman left, I was floating on cloud 9. My son was in California, starting his dream job. Every time my phone rang, I hoped it was him calling with good news about his first day. His new apartment, his colleagues. Calls did come. But looking back now, I can see how hollow they were. "Hey Mom, everything's great. The office is amazing. The people are so smart and driven. I'm learning so much already." "That's wonderful, Beta. Tell me about your apartment. Are you eating well? Do you have everything you need?" Yeah, it's all good. Listen, Mom, I have to go. There's a team meeting in 5 minutes. I'll call you later, okay?" Blick. That became the pattern. Short calls. Rushed conversations. Always an excuse to hang up quickly. And something else I noticed, he never sent pictures. Not of his office. Not of his apartment. Not even a selfie from San Francisco. "Arman, send me a picture of where you're working. I want to see your desk, your view, everything." "Mom, they're really strict about photography here. Company policy. Trade secrets and all that. But trust me, it's impressive." I trusted him. Course I trusted him. He was my son. By week 3, the calls became even shorter. And stranger. "Mom, hey, quick question. Do you think you could send me a little money? Just like $500. Money. But Beta, didn't you get your first paycheck?" "Yeah, but there were some unexpected expenses. Security deposit for the apartment was higher than expected. And I had to buy some professional clothes. You know how it is. First paycheck never covers everything." Something twisted in my stomach. But I pushed it down. He was right. Starting a new job in an expensive city had to be challenging. I sent the money. I borrowed it from my sister. I lied and said I needed it for a medical expense. I didn't want anyone to think my son wasn't doing well. 2 weeks later he asked for more. Another $600. "Arman, what's going on? Why do you keep needing money?" "Mom, please don't stress about it. It's just temporary. The company's payment cycle is different than I expected. I'll pay you back once I get my full salary sorted out. I sent it. Again. Because what else could I do? Leave my son struggling in a strange city. By week 8, his calls had dropped to once every few days. And when we did talk, he sounded different, tired, stressed, sometimes distracted, like he wasn't really listening to me. Beta, are you sleeping enough? You sound exhausted. I'm fine, Mom. The job is just demanding. Startup culture, you know? Long hours, high pressure. But it's worth it. Make sure you're eating properly. And drinking enough water. You tend to forget when you're stressed. I know, Mom. No. Listen, I really have to go. Always rushing off. Always busy. Always an excuse. By month 3, I hadn't heard from Arman in 5 days. 5 entire days of silence. No calls. No text. Nothing. I tried calling him. Straight to voicemail. I tried texting him. No response. I tried messaging him on social media. Nothing. The panic that had been quietly growing in my chest exploded into full-blown terror. Something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. I called his old friends. Have you heard from Arman? Not since he left for California, Auntie. Sorry. I tried to find the name of the company he was working for. But I realized with horror that he'd never actually told me the name. How had I not noticed that? How had I never asked? I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I paced my small living room for hours, phone clutched in my hand, jumping at every notification sound, praying it was him. And then on the 6th day my phone rang. Not Arman's number. California area code I didn't recognize. Hello. Is this Mira Patel? Yes, who is this? Ma'am, this is Sarah calling from St. Francis Memorial Hospital in San Francisco. Your son, Arman Patel, listed you as his emergency contact. He's stable now, but we need you to come to the hospital as soon as possible. The world stopped spinning. Time stopped moving. My heart stopped beating. What happened? Is he hurt? Was there an accident? He collapsed at a homeless shelter, ma'am. Severe dehydration and malnutrition. He's going to be fine physically, but there are some other concerns we'd like to discuss with you in person. Homeless shelter. My son. My baby. The boy I'd sacrificed everything for. Living in a homeless shelter. I don't remember how I got the money for the plane ticket. I think I borrowed it. I think I might have taken an advance on my salary. I honestly don't remember. All I knew was I had to get to my son. The flight felt like it lasted forever and no time at all. I couldn't cry. I was beyond tears. I was numb. Completely numb. When I finally got to the hospital, a nurse led me to his room. She was kind, her hand gentle on my shoulder. He's been asking for you, she said softly. He's been through a lot. Nothing could have prepared me for what I saw when I walked through that door. The man lying in that hospital bed looked like my son. But he didn't look like my son. He'd lost so much weight. His cheeks were hollow, his eyes sunken. His skin had a grayish tone that made him look ill. He was wearing a hospital gown that hung off his thin frame, and there were 4 tubes in his arm. But the worst part, the absolute worst part, was the look in his eyes when he saw me. Shame. Pure absolute shame. Mom, he whispered and started to cry. I wanted to run to him. I wanted to hold him. But my feet felt like they were glued to the floor. Because in that moment I knew. I don't know how I knew, but I knew. Everything he'd told me was a lie. Where's the job, Arman? My voice didn't sound like my own. It was cold, flat. Where's this amazing tech startup? Where's the apartment? Where's the career you've been building? He couldn't look at me. He just stared at his hands and cried. There is no job, he finally whispered. There never was. The story came out in pieces. broken fragments of truth that I had to piece together like shards of shattered glass. Victoria, the woman he'd told me was a business consultant. She wasn't a consultant. She was someone he'd met on a social media group for entrepreneurs. She was beautiful, charismatic, and smart. And she saw my son as an opportunity. She told him she was building a startup. She told him if he came to California, she'd make him her business partner. She told him they'd build something incredible together. She painted pictures of success, wealth, and a future that glittered like gold. And Arman, my desperate, unemployed, emotionally vulnerable son, believed every word. But it wasn't just about business, was it? Well, it was never just about business. He fell in love with her. Or what he thought was love. She was everything he thought he wanted. Confident, ambitious, worldly. And she paid attention to him. She made him feel important, special, needed. She said she needed me, Mom, he sobbed. She said I was smart, talented, that I had vision. No one else had ever made me feel like that. I made you feel like that. I wanted to scream. I was the one who believed in you. I was the one who sacrificed everything for you. But I stayed silent. Because I needed to hear all of it. Every painful detail. She convinced him to come to California. She convinced him to lie to me about the job. Your mother won't understand our vision, she told him. She'll try to stop you. Just tell her you got a regular job. Once we're successful, then you can tell her the truth. So he came to California with my borrowed money. With the savings I'd scraped together. With the $2,000 I'd taken as a loan. And Victoria, she took it all. She had him pay for everything. The shared apartment she claimed was temporary office space. The expensive dinners with potential investors who never materialized. The business registration fees for a company that didn't exist. The marketing materials. The website development. Every penny I'd sent him. Straight into her pockets. And when the money ran out, when Arman had nothing left to give, she disappeared. Blocked him on everything. Moved out of the apartment. Vanished like smoke. My son was left alone in one of the most expensive cities in America. No job. No money. No place to live. Too ashamed to call me. Too proud to admit he'd been used. So he ended up in a homeless shelter. Skipping meals to save the little money he had. Dehydrating himself because he was too embarrassed to ask for help. Until his body gave out and someone called an ambulance. I sat in that hospital chair for what felt like hours. Just sitting there watching my son cry. Listening to him apologize over and over again. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I was so stupid. I ruined everything. I'm such a failure. I'm so sorry. Part of me wanted to comfort him. The mother in me wanted to tell him it was okay, that we'd figure it out, that everything would be fine. But another part of me, a part one didn't know existed, was furious. Not just angry. Furious. Stop crying, I finally said. Just stop. He looked up at me, shocked. I'd never spoken to him like that before. You're sorry. You're sorry. I could feel my voice getting louder, but I didn't care. Do you have any idea what you've done? Do you have any idea what you've put me through? Mom, I sold my wedding bracelet for your college books. I worked 16-hour days so you could focus on your studies. I skipped doctor's appointments because I couldn't afford both my health and your education. I borrowed money from everyone I know to send you here. I took a loan I'm still paying interest on. And for what? So you could throw it all away on a woman who saw you as a fool. But that's not even the worst part, Arman. The worst part is that you lied to me. You looked me in the eye and lied. For 3 months, you let me believe you were building a career while you were actually destroying yourself. You let me borrow money from my sister, from neighbors, from loan sharks. All while knowing there was no job, no future. Just lies. He was sobbing so hard now his entire body was shaking. Why? I asked, and my voice finally broke. Why didn't you just tell me the truth? Why didn't you trust me? Because I was ashamed, he screamed. Because I didn't want to be a failure in your eyes. Because you sacrificed everything for me and I couldn't even get a job. I felt worthless, Mom. Worthless. And then Victoria came along and she made me feel like I was worth something, like I could be somebody. And I was so desperate to believe her that I ignored every red flag. You thought you were worthless, I whispered. You thought I'd see you as a failure if you were honest with me? Everyone else was succeeding. Everyone else had jobs, girlfriends, futures. And I had nothing. I was living in my mother's house at 27, sleeping in my childhood bed, watching my friends move forward while I stayed stuck. And you kept sacrificing, kept giving, and I kept taking. And it made me feel even worse. I stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the San Francisco skyline, the city that had swallowed my son whole. Do you know what hurts the most, Arman? I said quietly. It's not the money. Money can be earned back. It's not even the lies, as painful as they are. It's that you didn't trust me. You didn't trust the one person who has never, ever given up on you. The one person who would have walked through fire for you. I turned to face him. And I saw him clearly for the first time in maybe years. Not as the successful son I'd dreamed he'd become. Not as the helpless child who needed my protection. But as a man. A flawed, broken, scared man who'd made terrible choices. You're 27 years old, Arman, I said. And I'm done raising you. His eyes went wide. Mom, what are you mean? I mean I'm done making excuses for you. I'm done sacrificing myself to save you from yourself. I'm done enabling you to make choices without consequences. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to pay off your hospital bills. I'm going to get you a plane ticket home. And then you're going to get a job. Any job. I don't care if it's not your dream job. I don't care if it's not what you studied for. You're going to work, and you're going to pay back every single person we borrowed money from. Starting with my sister. Then the neighbors. Then the lending circle. Every penny. But Mom, I'm not finished. You're going to live at home, yes. But you're going to pay rent. A small amount, but you will contribute. You're going to help with groceries. You're going to help with household expenses. You're going to learn what it means to be a responsible adult, not a child I have to carry forever. And most importantly, you're going to learn to respect yourself enough to be honest. With me. With everyone. Because lying to spare someone's feelings doesn't spare them anything. It just delays the pain and makes it worse when the truth finally comes out. He was staring at me like he'd never seen me before. And maybe he hadn't. Maybe I'd always been so busy being the sacrificial mother that he never got to see me as a real person with limits, boundaries, and self-respect. I love you, Arman, I said softly. I will always love you. But I will not destroy myself to save you. Not anymore. If you want to build a life worth living, you have to build it yourself. I'll support you. I'll guide you. But I won't carry you. Do you understand what I'm saying? He nodded slowly, tears still streaming down his face. I understand, Mom. And I'm going to make this right. I swear to you. I'm going to make all of this right. The journey home was quiet. Arman sat by the window, staring out at the clouds, lost in his own thoughts. I didn't push him to talk. We'd said everything that needed to be said in that hospital room. When we got back home, something had changed. Not just in him but in me too. I stopped working double shifts. I started taking care of my own health. I went to the doctor for the first time in years. I started saying no to people who wanted to borrow money. I started choosing myself even just a little bit. And Arman, he got a job within 2 weeks. Not a prestigious job. Not his dream job. He became a junior sales associate at a local electronics store. It was honest work. And he showed up every single day. Every month he handed me money for rent. Every month. He gave me a portion of his salary to pay back our debts. And slowly, painfully, we started rebuilding. About 6 months after we returned from California, Arman came to me one evening. He sat down at the kitchen table where I was having tea. "Mom, can I tell you something?" "Of course. I'm grateful you let me hit rock bottom. I know that sounds weird, but I am. Because if you just rescued me like you always did, if you just made it all okay without any consequences, I would never have learned. I'd still be that same scared, dishonest person, just waiting for someone else to make me feel valuable. Now I know that my value doesn't come from some woman's validation, or from some prestigious job title, or from impressing anyone. It comes from being honest, working hard, and taking responsibility for my choices." I reached across the table and held his hand. "That's the man I always knew you could become. Not perfect, but honest, and strong enough to face the truth. If you're still listening to this story, I want to tell you something important. Something I learned the hard way. Love without boundaries isn't love. It's enabling. It's suffocating. It's a trap that hurts both the giver and the receiver. I thought I was being a good mother by sacrificing everything. By never saying no. By protecting my son from every consequence. But what I was actually doing was teaching him that he didn't need to be responsible. That someone would always clean up his messes. That he could make terrible choices and I'd always be there to catch him. And that didn't help him. It crippled him. The most loving thing I ever did for my son wasn't giving him everything he wanted. It was giving him the space to fail, to face consequences, and to rebuild himself from the ground up. Today, Arman is 30 years old. He's still not where he dreamed he'd be. But he's building a life he can be proud of. He got promoted twice at his job. He's saving money. He's dating someone who respects him, and whom he respects in return. Most importantly, he's honest. With himself and with everyone around him. And me. I'm still his mother. But I'm also my own person. Take care of myself. I set boundaries. I say no when I need to. And our relationship is stronger because of it. As for Victoria, I don't know what happened to her. And honestly, I don't care. She was a lesson my son needed to learn. Painful, expensive lesson. But a lesson nonetheless. She taught him that not everyone who claims to believe in you actually does. That some people see others as opportunities to exploit. That charm and confidence don't equal character. But I taught him something more important. That true love sometimes means being tough. That consequences are how we grow. And that the only person who can save you is yourself. If you're a parent watching this, ask yourself. Are you helping your child grow? Or are you preventing them from becoming who they need to be? If you're someone who's made mistakes like Arman, ask yourself. Are you taking responsibility? Or are you waiting for someone else to fix everything? And if you've ever been used by someone who claimed to care about you, remember this. Their betrayal says nothing about your worth. It only reveals their character. Thank you for listening to my story. I know it was long. I know it was painful. But I hope it helped you in some way. Whether you're a parent struggling with a difficult child, an adult trying to find your way, or someone recovering from betrayal, you're not alone. If this story moved you, please like this video and subscribe for more real-life stories about family, betrayal, redemption, and the complicated truths we all face. Leave a comment and tell me. Have you ever had to set boundaries with someone you love? How did it change your relationship? I read every single comment, and your stories help others who are going through similar struggles. And remember, the truth might hurt, but lies hurt more. And the sooner we face the truth, the sooner we can start healing. Until next time, may you find the courage to love with boundaries, to help without enabling, and to be honest even when it's hard. God bless you all.